Hey there drone fans, Rick here again from Drone Valley. So today I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the Mavic Pro controller and some of the tablet options you have to use a larger display with this controller. A couple of weeks ago I did a clip showing you how you could easily mount an iPad mini 4 into the controller and use it as sort of a unified display, and that works really well. But once I did that clip, I had everybody emailing me asking me, will my tablet work? I've got this model, this brand, can it fit in there, can you test it? And I thought rather than spending hours going through every possible model of tablet that's out, I would publish a clip that showed you exactly how wide the tablet could be and how thick the tablet could be to fit inside the controller like the iPad mini 4. So before I get too deep into it, I'll give you those dimensions now. So at its fullest width, the tablet can't be any bigger than 8 inches. So anything larger than 8 inches is going to be a struggle to get in there. The thickness is another concern. So the grips on the end of this have little rubber fingers that push down on the tablet to hold it inside the arms. Your tablet can only be between 6.5 millimeters and 8.5 millimeters to fit in there. Now, you could modify that if you had an X-Acto knife or a Dremel. You could go in there and clean some of that stuff out, but you'd have to modify the controller to do that. So totally up to you if you decide to do that. But if your tablet is 8 inches or smaller and it's between 6.5 millimeters and 8.5 millimeters, you're good to go. The other connection question would be on the end. So if you're using this as a standard controller and you're going to put your smartphone in the bottom, I've tested a bunch of different smartphones, they all fit. So all the modern smartphones that are out there will easily fit in the bottom, again, as long as it's not longer than 8 inches this direction. And the connection down here that mates up with your phone is very particular. You've got a connection down here where it actually plugs into the bottom of your phone and then makes the connection to the controller. And mine came with an iPhone cable in there, but the guys from DJI give you 2 other connections. So it'll pretty much, you can change this out to fit any phone that's out there, whether it's Apple or Android. You basically just unplug it and slide the new cable in there. If you're going to use this with a tablet, you have to take that cable out because the 2 corners of the tablet actually fit up inside the arm. So there's a slit on both sides. The corners protrude up through those arms, and that's what holds it in the controller. So you've got to pull that cable out. The cable comes out very easily. You basically gently pull it down there. You lift it up out of this channel gently, and then you unplug it here. And once you unplug it, you can set that aside. This connection is a micro USB connection. This is the one you're going to use to actually charge the controller. So those of you who have gotten your Mavic, you know you charge it there. There's also another full-size USB connection on the bottom. Both of these you can use to connect to the controller. You can't use them both at the same time. If you use this one's dead. If you use this one, you can't use this one to connect another smart device to it. That's a question I got from a lot of you guys. But that's the one we're going to use for the actual tablet. So to put a tablet in here, I open the wings up as far as they'll go, and then basically gently slide the tablet up. And you can see again that the 2 corners protrude through those side arms right there. And that's a nice little setup. And that tablet's in there nice and snug. It's not going to fall out. Now to make the connection to the controller, I did spend a little bit of time thinking about this. And the challenge is you're going to use this bottom USB connection and you're going to connect up to the Lightning, in this case the Lightning connection on the end. And you can use a standard Lightning cable. So if you've got a cable from your phone or your tablet, you can plug it in and use it and it'll work perfectly fine. The challenge with that is it's really long, right? So it's going to dangle. You could ball it up and put it behind there, but it's not real neat. So I like things neat. So the first thing I did was find a shorter iPhone cable. So this is a really short USB to Lightning, and that works pretty well. So I can connect it there and I can connect it here. And you can see that that fits, right? And that's a nice little neat connection. The problem is when you're flying, you see how that juts up? That's right on your palm. So it works, but it's not the easiest to fly that way. You're going to, after a little bit of time, get very comfortable with the balance of this, and that's going to bug you. It's sticking out. I also worry that as I'm touching that, as I'm flying, I'm bending that Lightning connection there, and I don't want to damage the actual iPad inside of there. So I thought, okay, my next move is I'm going to find a right angle connection that'll actually come off that and go down. So I spent a little bit of time and money testing a bunch of different cables, and I came up with a standard right angle cable. And you can find these on Amazon or anywhere, and I'll put links below where you can find them. So this one's a little bit better because it's got a USB connection on this end. Let me get that in there nice and tight. And it's got a right angle connection up top that actually allows you to make the connection and have it be less pressure on your palm. So when I connect this guy up, you can see already that even though it looks like it sticks out further, a much more natural connection on the side. But you can see the problem with this, right? Now I've got a long cable in the back, so I've got to ball this up with some rubber bands and stuff. It's just a clumsy way to go. So I thought, okay, that works better than the standard iPhone cable and certainly better than the short cable, but I still don't like this extra length. So again, spent a lot of time, talked to a lot of distributors, and I found a company that actually makes a nice short one here that does exactly the same thing. So again, a Lightning connection over here, let me plug that guy in, and it connects underneath here with a standard USB connection. and that's perfect. So it's just the right length to make the connection. It's nice and calm with your palm over here, so it's not actually jutting out, and you can fly this for hours and you won't even feel it after a couple of minutes of flying. So again, these are available on the website. You can buy them from a lot of distributors. I'll put some links below if you need to find these things, but I like that an awful lot. So that's one way to fix the problem. Now the challenge is, what if I'm not using an iPad mini 4? So I've got a different tablet. Maybe I've got a Samsung tablet, or I've got an NVIDIA tablet, the Shield. I love that Shield product. Well, it turns out the Samsung product that I have is small enough to actually fit in there, so that works fine. But the NVIDIA Shield is way too wide to make that connection, so I'm out of luck. So I thought, well, I do want to fly with that NVIDIA Shield. I don't want to give up on that because that's one of my favorite tablets. I love the quality of the video. I'll do videos a lot of times where I'm going to record the screen. That's the perfect product to use for that. So I thought, well, why does it have to actually be mounted here? Now, there are companies that make aftermarket tablet options that you can actually put in here. So there's a couple of different types. Basically what happens is a piece of gear fits in here that has a mount attached to it, and you put the tablet in the mount. The problem with that for me is two things. Number one, I don't want to carry extra stuff with me. I mean, the whole point of the Mavic was to buy something that was small. I could throw it in a backpack and take it with me. Those contraptions that actually hold the tablets are big. And that means they're bigger than actually the controller or the drone, and I got to carry it with me. So that's the third thing I got to bring along. I'm not a big fan about dragging extra stuff with me. The other challenge with those is there's two versions that I've seen out there. One of them puts the tablet above, which means I'm blocking my display. I don't like that. I like to see what's going on with the display. The other one puts the tablet below, and that works okay from a visual perspective, so I can see what's going on. The problem is the weight of it is unbalanced, so it's always pulling down. I always feel like the tablet's going to fall out. It just doesn't feel natural in your hands, so I don't like using that stuff. So I thought, well, how could I use a bigger tablet like this without going with one of those contraptions? And I bought a bunch of those to try them, and I decided what I'm going to do instead is I came up with this little mount. So I've got this little tablet stand, if you will. It's very small. You can see how thin it is. It fits in the back there really easily. And I can set that tablet stand up on some flat surface and just pop the tablet right in there. So I've got my NVIDIA sitting there, and then all I do is disconnect this. Obviously, I'm not going to use them both at the same time. And connect up a cable from my controller to the NVIDIA, and I can watch the NVIDIA and actually fly with this. Now, it's not the most elegant solution because it's external, but you can use any size tablet. It's a universal stand, so I can put even large tablets in there, 10-inch, 12-inch tablets in there, and it'll work just fine. I like a bigger tablet. I'm getting a little bit older, so my eyes appreciate the fact that I've got a bigger tablet, especially if I'm shooting some kind of really important scene where I've got to get that exact spot and I want to make sure the focus is on. Having a larger screen is a good thing for me. So connecting that up is just a matter of dangling a cable, a 1-meter cable between them, and using this bottom USB connection. So then I thought about it a little bit more, and I said, well, I'm carrying an iPhone device or an Apple device, and I'm carrying an Android device. Kind of a pain in the neck that I've got to carry two different cables with me. So I did some more research, and I found a universal cable. It's a 2-in-1 cable. And what this is a 1-meter cable. It's got a USB connection on the end, and it comes standard with a lightning connection on there as well. But the beauty of this is underneath that lightning connection, if you pull that end out, is a Android connection or a micro USB connection. So you've got both the iPhone connection and the micro USB connection on the same cable. So this now allows me to eliminate one of my cables and only carry one single cable to make the connection up. So with this one, because it's an Android device, I just take the micro USB. Let me put it in there. Get the right end here. Hold on. All right, so here's the micro USB. Put that in the stand. Straighten this out. I make the connection underneath, and I'm good to go. So I can fly it, and I can be, you can use a longer cable certainly, but I can be away from it, I can see the screen, and I can fly it. Again, not the most elegant solution, but it allows me to use the tablet I've got. The last thing I want to do is have to buy a new tablet because I've got a new drone. I want to use the tablet I've got, so it works pretty well. The other thing that's nice about this is it's really easy for me to switch between Android or Apple. I carry one cable and I got everything covered. Another question I got was about the battery life on the controller. And I've flown this since I've gotten it, I guess about 4 weeks ago. I get about 2 hours on a full charge for the controller, which is plenty for me, but a lot of people wanted to fly longer, and they're like, well, what do I do? How do I extend that life? You can't really do much with the controller. The controller, because of its size, has a smaller battery pack in it than the Phantom 4 did, and also the Phantom 4 would charge whatever external device you were using from that internal battery. So it always allowed you to charge your device as you were flying. This one doesn't do this. So the battery inside there only runs the controller. There's no external power to the external device. But 2 hours isn't, a little over 2 hours isn't enough for most people. So I did a little more tinkering, and I figured out that that side connection while I'm flying, whether the tablet's connected below or it's external, that side connection is active for charging. So if I take, let's say I take another one of those cables with me, I could put the micro USB in there and connect that to an external battery that I can carry with me. No matter what size the battery is, that's going to actually supply additional power to the battery internally. It's going to charge that battery while you're flying. So depending on how large an external battery I've got, I could double the time or triple the time or even go 8, 10 hours of flying just by having an external battery. And I've done this a bunch where I've taken the battery with me, put it in my pocket, and had the cable across to it. So again, it's not perfect, it's a little bit clumsy, but if you're out there for the afternoon and you want to get 3 hours or 4 hours of flying in, you can't do it on a single charge in the controller. But if you take an external battery with you, you can connect that up USB to micro USB and charge this thing while you're flying, which is pretty cool. The last thing I want to talk about is you have to be a little bit careful when you're using a tablet, because when these arms actually extend all the way out, the very tip of this arm up here will impact that sport mode button up top. So a couple of times I put the tablet in and not noticed it. And when that slides up, it actually puts it in sport mode. So once I get the tablet in there, I want to make sure that it's down, because I don't fly in sport mode much, but I want to make sure that it's down to make sure I'm not in sport mode. So just be aware of that as you extend these out this way to put the tablet in, you may actually inadvertently put that in sport mode. So anyway, I covered a lot of stuff today, and again, I've got links for all this stuff below, so if you have questions, I always miss stuff in these clips. If there's things you want to know more about, drop me a question below in the comments section. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I really enjoy doing these clips. I know I've done a bunch on the Mavic already. I've got a bunch more planned. I don't like to do traditional clips. A lot of guys out there will, oh, it's a great, let's fly it, it's a great drone, let's take it up and fly it, and here's what it looks like. I'll do some of those clips, but I really like to spend more time with the actual technical product and figure out all the things you can do with it that may extend it a little bit, that make it a little cooler to fly, or maybe a different perspective on how you can use the technology. And that's what I'm trying to bring you in these clips. So hopefully I've done my job today. As I always say, if you guys are enjoying these, I'll continue to make them. And again, if you have questions I've missed, please drop them in the comment section below. Our subscriber grouping has grown by leaps and bounds, so we really appreciate that. If there are friends of yours that fly that don't know about the channel, let them know that. Be sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of new stuff coming out. So again, that's enough for today. Thanks an awful lot for watching, and as I always say, happy droning.